Welcome to the Sense Making in a Changing World podcast, where we explore the kind of thinking we need to navigate a positive way forward. I'm your host, Morag, permaculture educator and global ambassador, filmmaker, eco-villager, food forester, mother, practivist, and all-round lover of thinking, communicating, and acting regeneratively. For a long time, it's been clear to me that to shift trajectory to a thriving one-planet way of life, we first need to shift our thinking. The way we perceive ourselves in relation to nature, self, and community is the core. So this is true now more than ever, and even the way change is changing. Unprecedented changes are happening all around us at a rapid pace. So how do we make sense of this? To know which way to turn, to know what action to focus on, so our efforts are worthwhile and nourishing and are working towards resilience, regeneration, and reconnection. What better way to make sense than to join together with others in open, generative conversation? In this podcast, I'll share conversations with my friends and colleagues, people who inspire and challenge me in their ways of thinking, connecting, and acting. These wonderful people are thinkers, doers, activists, scholars, writers, leaders, farmers, educators, people whose work informs permaculture and spark the imagination of what a post-COVID, climate-resilient, socially just future could look like. Their ideas and projects help us to make sense in this changing world, to compost and digest the ideas, and to nurture the fertile ground for new ideas, connections, and actions. Together, we'll open up conversations in the world of permaculture design, regenerative thinking, community action, earth repair, eco-literacy, and much more. I can't wait to share these conversations with you. Over the last 3 decades of personally making sense of the multiple crises we face, I always return to the practical and positive world of permaculture, with its ethics of earth care, people care, and fair share. I've seen firsthand how adaptable and responsive it can be in all contexts, from urban to rural, from refugee camps to suburbs. It helps people make sense of what's happening around them and to learn accessible design tools to shape their habitat positively and to contribute to cultural and ecological regeneration. This is why I've created the Permaculture Educators Program, to help thousands of people to become permaculture teachers everywhere through an interactive online dual certificate of permaculture design and teaching. We sponsor global Permayouth programs, women's self-help groups in the Global South, and teens in refugee camps. So anyway, this podcast is sponsored by the Permaculture Education Institute and our Permaculture Educators Program. If you'd like to find more about permaculture, I've created a 4-part permaculture video series to explain what permaculture is and also how you can make it your livelihood as well as your way of life. We'd love to invite you to join our wonderfully inspiring, friendly and supportive global learning community. So I welcome you to share each of these conversations, and I'd also like to suggest you create a local conversation circle to explore the ideas shared in each show and discuss together how this makes sense in your local community and environment. I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which I meet and speak with you today, the Gubbi Gubbi people, and pay my respects to their elders past, present and emerging. Hi everyone, it's my absolute delight to share with you today this conversation with Ego Lemos from Timor Leste. Ego is a humble yet radical positive change maker. He grew up in the tumultuous time of the Indonesian occupation in Timor Leste, and over the decades he's worked with permaculture to help it mushroom, as he says, throughout his country. He's largely responsible for permaculture being a compulsory subject for every primary school aged child in his country. Permaculture is in the national curriculum and it's starting to extend into high schools too. And even since 2011 he's been lecturing in permaculture at the National University. He's launched Permakids programs, Permayouth camps that since 2008 have had well over 1,000 youth attending whenever they're run. He also runs 3-day training programs for teachers of permaculture in schools. And he now organises camps around restoring the upper catchments to help rehydrate the landscape. He's also an advisor to the national government in lots of different sectors. And not only that, Ego is a musician. His song Balibo was awarded a Best Song Composed for Screen in a movie that starred Damon Gameau and Anthony LaPaglia. So Ego is a fascinating character who I am absolutely delighted to have spent the time chatting with. We met ages ago at the Permaculture conference, and I'll put a link in where you can find that conversation too, where he talks a little bit more too about growing up in the Indonesian occupation. Also, just really important to acknowledge too that Timor is a young country with over 70% of the population under 30 years old, and actually 70% of the people living in farming areas. And it continues to be one of the poorest countries in the world, with over 40% of their 1.3 million population living in poverty. So what Ego does in his community is absolutely essential and is making such a positive difference. So join me in this conversation, and I really hope you can hear much inspiration for how you might be able to help cultivate some amazing local programs in your communities. There were two key questions that I was exploring with Ego. One was, what is Permayouth and how he got it started? And the other was about what are the kind of resources that he's been able to create through the work that he's done, and how that is now being shared out through the world through the Tropical Permaculture Manual, which he was co-author of, a 1,000-page manual, which is absolutely extraordinary. And also the materials he's developed for schools, the handbooks and the posters. So enjoy. I hope you'll find a lot of really fantastic inspiration here in this conversation.
In the sun earth, all human beings in the sun earth, it's the only earth we are living now. Let us create sustainable living. Come on, let's fix earth. 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 Come on, everyone, act locally, make good impact for globally. Together we can fix our earth. Together we can save our earth. Come on, let's fix 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 earth. One more please. Come on, let's fix earth. Come on, let's fix earth. One more please. Come on, let's fix earth. Come on, let's fix earth. Regarding the permaculture youth in Timor, I think since we start in 2008, the number is that time is first camp about 400 young, 400 youth. But then now after then we have second camp in 2010. It's increased to more than 600 people. And then 2012, it's almost 900 people. And 2015, we same almost 1,000, I think, almost 1,000 young youth. And then 2018, we have over 1,000 youth.
Gosh.
Gathered. And now we're preparing for the next one, which we plan in November, 23rd to 28th of November. And so we still target 1,000 youth. But depends on now because of the situation of COVID. So we're not sure yet whether we can gather this number of people, but still a lot, even 500 is a lot. And so during the camp,
we have about, last time, 2018, we have about 15 workshop in a day. So like we just list like 15 workshop, which is practical workshop in the field, straight in the community land. That's one workshop is lasts for 3 days. So for instance, workshop on aquaculture. So the participant with the facilitator, they working building fish pond, and also they learn about how to grow fish, and also how to combine fish and chicken, and vegetable garden, and also workshop about cuisine, about cooking. So we invite some Timorese chefs to facilitate the workshop, and they cook. They cook during the workshop, and different type of recipes. And we also have workshop on water resource conservation. So the participant with the facilitator, they create like a key dam, or we call here we call like a reservoir, small reservoir, which can dig by hand. So I think during the camp, like 3 days, they maybe up to 5 reservoir, which is I think about 10 by 20 meter by 1 or 1.5. So it's for capture the rainwater during the rainy season. So, and the reservoir feeding the spring, so that community can access to the clean water. But also we have workshop on seed saving. So I could share you this concept note or TOR of the program, last one. That's already in English, but the new one we haven't translated yet. But I can share you with some the concept note for the new camp that's gonna come. So the idea is like we're building up this kind of camp, and so the participant coming, the youth come across the whole country, including we attract some international participants, but last time not many, but quite mostly people coming from Indonesia, from western part of West Timor, the border of Timor. So, but more than 20 youth come from Indonesia to join. And if everything goes smoothly, so I think UNESCO Jakarta also they want to send the youth from Indonesia and the youth from West Timor and the youth from Bali also they want to join. But we hope that this pandemic is end soon, so that we could, welcome the international participants coming from all over the place. And for this next coming camp, we prepare about 9 practical workshops. Because in the practical workshop, I think about 2 or 3 workshops, which is will involve more participants. For instance, water source conservation. Water source conservation is we're hoping to get about 200 or at least 150 youth involved in that workshop. So that then we dividing into 3 groups, like a 50 each group, so they can build reservoir around the campsite. And then the other workshop that we're going to recruit same number of people is we call agroforestry and bioengineer, like building terraces, swales. So they'll go along with this water conservation. And so because we want to scaling up water conservation activities end of the year after the camp. When rain come, we want all of these youth go back to their respective villages to start doing this kind of activities. And we promise in our new concept note that we won't give this youth the certificate until we see what they're doing. So
in their own village?
Yeah, in their own village. Last year, we're doing training to 120 participants for water conservation from December in 2 places, like each place 60 people. And again, we apply same rules. We won't give them certificate. We give them 3 months at minimum for them to apply. After we get the report, we go and see what they're doing. If it's done, then we produce the certificate for them.
Right.
The last March, we gave about maybe 107 certificate to those people who implemented in their areas. So last December to January to February, so we produced about 41 reservoir across the country.
Fantastic. Wow.
Yeah.
That's such a great model. Absolutely fantastic. So how do the kids hear about it? And what age are they? And are they paying for that, or do you get sponsorship to run this program for them? Like practically, how is it working?
For Timor, not them pay. They don't pay. But we're looking for sponsorship. So we're looking for sponsorship. We talk to the government and talk to the international agency to cover the cost of the transport, cost of the food, and also we didn't get them pay them, but so they just participate. And when they finish the training, we also provide kind of incentive, like food, so that they go back and involve more people in their respective village to working on the water resource conservation. So like it's involved like almost 1,000 people across the country. Wow. Like yeah. So this kind of activities is what we're doing. And the age of the group, the youth is, we're targeting above 17 years old. Apart from we have Permayouth, we also have Permakids. So the Permakids camp also every 2 years, biannual. So that's age 12 to 17. So that's where when I look at the age group that you mentioned, I think for us they part of the kids, Permakids.
Yeah.
For the youth, we preferably looking for 18 years old above.
Yeah.
So that would be perfect because involve like physical activities more, and below that we call they part of the kids. Permakids, yeah.
So what do you do? Do you so on the Permakids camp?
Yeah.
Is that different from the Permayouth camp, or is it the same thing, but they just do different programs?
Permakids is more about gardening. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they more about gardening, about cooking, and also games. Like in kids camp, we prepare breakfast and lunch, but the youth, they cook themselves. So we just provide raw food.
Yep.
We give them raw food every day. They cook breakfast and lunch. Last time lunch is we prepare in the community where they work, and then in the afternoon they come back to the campsite. They cook for dinner. So we organize.
Sorry, I was going to ask you, where is the site that you use? Is there one particular camp that you use all the time, or do you move to different places?
Keep moving.
Yeah.
We keep moving because we want to impact on the community. So that's why we keep moving, and we select. Normally, we choose 5 places ahead. Then we send a team to do an assessment. For instance, look at how close is the community, water supply, and then we voted. Democratically, we vote among the committee, and then whichever place is get majority of the vote, that's the one we're gonna prepare for it. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Then we discuss talking with local authority, like district administrator, the police commander, and we approach and starting to discuss about the activities, and also with the local youth. So we're starting to do some activities ahead so that they can be prepared. So like now, since last year, we already doing some activities at the camp that we planning to do the Permayouth. So that they are aware that's their site is going to be so we prepare like water conservation activities, and we do training on horticulture, compost making, and so we're starting to do activities 1 year prior to the camp.
Wow, it's so well organized. My gosh. And it sounds like it's not just workshops, but it's kind of like a whole festival event. Like, I'm sure you have music and dance and yeah.
And it's like a youth festival because after the workshop, practical workshop in the field, we also have an exhibition, like a expo in the campsite. So it's open to public. So anyone can come to see. And then starting 3 o'clock in the afternoon, all participants is free from the practical workshop. So they go back and they have a shower or they clean, and they can participate in some games. Also some like a talk show in different expo site. And then starting 6 to 7, it's a dinner time. It's then 7 to 8, it's a movie time. So we have screening, big screen, and we play a movie for 1 hour. Like 1 hour, we use short film, like a 10 to 15 minute film, and then so 1 hour at least we show 4 film, and then 8 to 10 is we call cultural night. So we have big stage. So we have performance from local to all sorts of performance can be performed by the participant, or we invite some local artists to perform. And mainly it's performed by the participant. They do poem, they do theater, they do music, they do dancing. It's so much. It's a one like a sometime when 5 days after the camp finished, they don't want to go home.
No,
They
but they
provide-
don't. So can you just, like, where did this whole idea come from, and how did you get it started? Because, you know, this is absolutely brilliant, Ego. I mean, this needs to happen in every country. It's such a brilliant idea. How did you get it started?
Well, I think after seeing the statistic of Timor, reading that majority of the population, I think 70% is the age below 30 years old. So,
Yeah.
and so therefore, we've been thinking like in terms of the permaculture activities. So it would be great if we focus more on involving the young people, because they're the one will, as an actor, to continue this kind of sustainable development in the future. And second, we look at the country after post-conflict and a lot of trauma. Most of the people still have trauma, the anger, especially the youth. So I think we want to do something that the youth can transfer all of this emotion, their anger, through something creative, more positive, through permaculture, through art, through painting, or through music. So that's why we create this kind of space, so that we can invite this kind of the youth to share and learning and sharing among each other, and also learning from the local community and also from others.
Mm.
I think there's so many inspiration behind that. But I think the most is we want the most of the young people is go back to their village and starting the permaculture. So that's why in Timor now permaculture is like it's growing like a mushroom, and I think everywhere, and including the school garden. Just today we report to the in the government meeting this morning. So we report that we established setting up 224 school garden already in the country.
Mm.
So for the Permakids, we're inviting the kids coming from this school garden. And also for the young people, the youth that participate in the camp, they're not just ordinary youth coming, like they just come and they want to become participant. But they have to, one of the rules is they have to active in one of the youth organization in their area, because then easy for us to follow up. So when we contact the organization, we contact the group.
And they have more possibility for rippling out action.
That's right.
When they go home. They're not just isolated. Yeah. So what are those kind of organizations? What youth organizations exist?
They various organizations. They come from farmers group organization, also like a religious organization. Also, we also the deficient organization as well, women's organization, youth organizations, so many organizations. As long as they're active in one organization, or they've been recommended by local villages, like a leader, like a local authority of the village.
So it's really like a leadership camp in a way.
Yes.
Mm.
And so that we could easily follow up later on.
Mm.
And the success story is from the past camp, from the few camp in the past. So already a few of these youth already become a local leader in their respective village. One of the island near Dili called Atauru Island, one of the local leader is one of our like active participant. Now he become local leader, and now he doing water conservation, and he banned all the hunting, and also organized with the local community like a cleaning up the beach. And so now the program is not only in one village, but it's like a scaling up in the whole sub-district in that island. And we have about maybe about 5 we call suku, is like a village. Because in Timor we have sub-village leader, village leader, sub-district, and then district leader. So it's like a very important leader in their community.
Mm.
They've been nominated. They've been voted by the people, not appointed.
That's amazing. And that then shifts everything, doesn't it? Once you start, and so your strategy of working with young people to cultivate a particular way of being and understanding and practical skills for them to emerge as young leaders who have been representing other people all that time, and then be connected nationally with all those other leaders and internationally too, I suppose, as well.
Yeah.
So it is like mushrooming. It is like this mycelium network that you've spread across the country. There with these little fruiting bodies popping up all over the place. It's really powerful. Yeah. Yeah, it's great. And you mentioned too last time I spoke with you about how it's also been taken in by the education department, and also is it like agriculture department? Permaculture has found its way into those like national policies as well. Can you tell us a little bit more about how that's all going?
The school garden is now part of the national curriculum. So it's collaborate with Ministry of Education in Timor. And it's a compulsory subject for all primary school across the country.
Permaculture is a compulsory subject for all primary school.
Yeah, for the primary school, yeah.
Fantastic.
We call permaculture garden.
Yep.
And now we're starting to piloting. So in the high school. We just starting about 5 high school, 2 Catholic high school and 1 vocational high school and 2 public, like a high school. So also quite amazing, successful since we started last year, and they're starting to show progress, because we want to convince Ministry of Education to scaling up not only for primary school, but we want to bring up to the high school. So every school from primary school up to high school to have school garden.
Mm.
And so today this morning I attended a meeting in the government. They invite NGO representative. So I'm one of them, to give our ideas to the government for 2.5 years. What should government put in their priority to fix they call economical recuperation after pandemic? So one of the report I presenting is we want the school garden to increase the number to scaling up, so that not only we did 224 school garden already, but we want more school garden. Will be great. All the school have the garden,
Mm-hmm.
and that can be used as a living laboratory for teaching, and also for helping the local community improve their home garden to produce nutritious food in the local area. That's the ideas behind the school garden. Not only to produce, so the school, it's not necessary for the school to produce much, but the school garden is as the living laboratory for the kids to learn all the process of permaculture, caring and produce organic material and growing food. And then when they go home, together with the parent, they can implement it in their home garden.
Fantastic. So
And some of the
I was going to ask, what types of home gardens have people already got? I mean, is home gardening something that was let go of, or is there something there and permaculture is another layer on top of what they're doing? What do people normally have around their home?
I think most of the community, they have garden. They have garden. Only some aspect which is missing is, they normally burn all their organic matter, like grass, leaves, and they pile all the rubbish like unorganic waste together with organic. They burn. So this aspect, after the kids learn from school garden, they go home and they're starting to change slowly, and so they now less burning of organic matter, and they started to separate organic and unorganic. That's like a behavior change.
Mm-hmm.
And also they're starting to make their own compost at home, and they're doing raised garden bed, which is a lot easier in that they've been doing before. So we apply like a teach technique that easy to make garden,
Mm-hmm.
and also it's more sustainable for the so this kind of ideas that the local community adopt so quick from the school.
Yeah.
And
do you have sorry to interrupt again. I've got so many questions for you. Do you have like little booklets that you give out to the kids, or there's information that you have?
Yes, we have we call let me show you. I don't have here. We call permaculture garden for kids. Let me get the book.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
So yeah, this is the book we have. Yeah.
Fantastic.
And this is like a small manual that we use. So a lot of illustration about gardening.
Oh, how nice.
And the step how to do it, and this about gardening.
Yep.
This natural pest control, and this how they show little about they can make their own organic pesticide if they want.
Yep.
And this one shows them about they can produce their own local microorganism.
Fantastic.
They can and also this one as nursery.
Great.
This one about the nursery.
Yeah.
And how to make the nursery and the tools. And this one about making compost.
Yep.
And this one about living fence.
Brilliant. Yep. Wonderful.
Yeah, living fence. So we encourage every school to grow their own fence, and they can eat their fence. We call eatable fence.
Yep. Nice.
And this one about seed calendar.
Oh, great.
About seed calendar and how to save their own local seeds.
Yep.
It's just an example, and how to save the seeds. And then we also introduce a little bit about vertical gardening.
Excellent. Ego, is there any way that I can get a copy of that to share with the refugee kids? That is just got absolutely everything in it that is what they need to know. And I know it's in your language, but I wonder
Yeah.
whether there's a way that it could be is it already in English, or can we translate it into another
Uh,
language? Or
we already translate in English. Only we haven't formatted yet into this same. Yeah,
yeah,
I
right.
think I have the wording in English. Only, yeah, we don't have a chance yet to ask a graphic designer to format it.
Yeah.
And I think it's many requests already for this little book.
It's so popular, really.
Yeah, so yeah, hopefully we could format it, and then I don't know yet. Don't know. I cannot promise when, but I could send you this. But it's very hard unless we give it to someone that goes to Australia to take the copy.
Right. Do you
To give
do you
it
have
to
it
you.
do you have it digitally? Do you have it on computer as a PDF?
Digital. I'll check with my our admin because they're the one kept all this. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
great.
then yeah.
Because currently I'm working with a group of people who, like Rosemary Rowe and a whole lot of people who are trying to look at what kind of resources are available for people in, young people, school-aged people, something that's really tangible, really visible, visual, I mean,
Right.
and with materials that are accessible. So that,
Right.
that is just absolutely beautiful, the way that you've done it. And so, anyone could pick that up and follow that. That's, yeah.
And we also produce a flip chart out of these books for the teachers. So
Great.
you see this flip chart?
Yes, fantastic.
Yeah, this for teachers to use.
So do you send that out to every school that's got a school garden program? Each school has a kit of these posters. Is that how you do it?
No, we can't because only for those, like when we get sponsorship from the some agency, then we print this to give it to them. Then they can give it to the local school because it's a cost.
Yeah.
So we ask the government, but until so it's very limited. But I think over 100 school they get this. It's about nine of them as a package from the book. So, and then teacher can put on the wall, and then they can teach the kids and explain about the what is in the little book.
Fantastic.
So the kids holding this,
yep.
And the teacher uses.
Yep, that's just perfect, isn't it? And you're finding that's working really well. The teachers feel like they, like that combination has worked really well.
Yeah,
I can imagine it would. Yeah.
Yeah, it's helped a lot, and then they can adjust. They can adjust, because this is just an example.
That's right.
And they can adjust and into whatever they have in the local. So it's a very helpful resource for the teachers.
Yeah.
And some of school already using school garden for teaching different subject, like they're teaching geometric, using asking kids to measure the size of the garden, and also the counting number of plants. And so some of the school also using for teaching language. So the school garden has many purpose.
Yeah.
Especially to help the teachers do outside classroom, and the kids is more motivated in that way, because, for instance, mathematics is very boring for most of the kids. But when the teacher brought them out to school garden and started to ask them to count plant, number of colors, or names, or variety, or the kids love it.
So
they just
do you have programs where you teach the teachers how to use the gardens and how to use your materials? So I know you've got programs for the kids, but the teacher education programs, is that what you do too?
Yes, we run workshops for the teachers. 3 days workshop for the teachers before they start the school garden. So for normally we go to one area, which is not only one school. We start with setting up a model first in one school. Then we inviting like a representative of teachers come from more than 10 school or up to 20 school or sometime to do a teacher training, 3 days teacher training, like a workshop. And then including they're doing gardening during 2 days and making compost, and we're using all this material to.
Yeah, so they understand it, so then they can teach it on. Yep, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. So do you also give them your big manual? Do they have that as background, or do you, where does your 1,000-page manual fit into your whole educational suite of things?
Manual, not yet. Manual because it's too big, and mainly still in English. Hopefully
really?
we almost, I think, only 2 chapters left now for Tetum, and when it's done, I think we have the Tetum translation finished and can be online. But to print it, to give it to every school, I think is cost a lot. But we recommend them to access online.
Yeah.
Only problem that not all Timor access to internet, so that's the hard part.
Yeah. Do you also make films? Do you also make films about how to do these different things? Do you send films out to the teachers?
No, we only do like just a documentary, like on water, on school gardening, but to film like how to do things, not yet, because we don't have access to kind of funding to do that yet.
Yeah, wouldn't that be great to have that as part of the suite of things? But the 3-day training for teachers, that seems like a really critical part of it. Yeah. So just on the agriculture side, so where does permaculture sit within the agriculture department's thinking? Is there a recognition of permaculture as well as a part of what's happening?
For agriculture, so far, not. I think now a lot easier because they already see what the result that we do. But still, we still don't have a what's it called, same ideas yet, because they're still influenced by big scale, modernized. So that's why it's still hard, and the minister also keep changing. And those people who don't understand about sustainable agriculture or permaculture or agroecology, they don't have any ideas, and so that's why it's still hard.
Maybe one of your Permayouth will become a minister of agriculture one day.
Hopefully. That's why we need like maybe 10 years, hopefully, Most of our permaculture, what's it called? People will be taking leader in many places. I think will change slowly. But
sorry, you go.
One of the ministry that now is starting to get close to us is Minister of Public Work, especially because one of their portfolios is water and sanitation, and we've been critic a lot about they investing a lot in the water infrastructure, but not putting attention on upstream conservation. So we could now we're in the process of signing a memorandum to collaborate on water conservation activities. And last year, Minister of Public Work is the one fund Permayouth to do training on water and water resource conservation. And also the other government body that also we collaborate very well is Secretary of State of Youth and Sport. So last year we trained the youth group, youth center. People come youth from youth center in 13 municipality on horticulture, aquaculture, and animal husbandry using permaculture principle.
Fantastic.
And there are about 120 youth, girls and boys, and 95% of them now implemented. They're doing fish pond, they raise chicken, pigs, also they're doing horticulture. So it's
so you're finding that this is actually then helping them to create better livelihoods for themselves? Is it rippling out into that part of their lives, as well as just being around food and for the family, but it's actually helping them to create a job for themselves? Is that helping in that way?
Yeah, that's what we been aiming for. Apart from they producing food for themselves, but also create enterprise for themselves, so they can create jobs. Because Timor, one of the high unemployment rate. So that's why, as I mentioned, that because mostly young people, and when they finish school, high school or university, they don't get a job. While 70% of the people living in rural area, they have land, they have water, they have resource, but everyone wants to have jobs in the office. So that's why the unemployment is very high. So it's forcing government to go and lobby companies like beverage, like a beer or soft drink, or to establish a company, and government promised that this company will recruit 1,000 young people, or recruit employ 1,000 people. So it's all about promising without creating something that more sustainable in their local area. So
what size of land is, sorry, I was going to say, what size of land is typical for people to have? Like, how much land does a family have?
I think majority of family in Timor, at least they have minimum 1 hectare, like 2 acre minimum, and some they get more, but they abandon this land. Also, we have 30 of the agricultural land is for rice cultivation. And now I think 90% of the rice paddy is abandoned because no water.
Ah,
Yeah. So
wow.
that's why
So where's the rice coming from?
government
Is it all being imported
imported, all imported.
from
Uh,
Indonesia?
not from Indonesia. Indonesia also having problem. So Vietnam, Thailand, and Laos. So therefore, we criticize the agriculture ministries that a lot of investment goes into rice production, but they intend to forget about diversifying other crops. So that's
And
why we keep, yelling,
yeah, and also what you're
Uh,
doing with getting the, looking at the whole water system and restoring the
yeah,
hydrology of the land,
yeah,
actually taking a few steps back and doing that work so that then
that's right.
you can restore the
We,
water system, to
that's right.
rehydrate the
Yeah,
landscape. It makes so much sense. Well,
yeah,
I hope they listen to you. My gosh, it makes perfect sense to
yeah.
to hear what you're doing. Yeah.
So yeah, that's why I think slowly, some of the government leader or politician, they starting to aware of what we've been doing, especially permaculture, agroecologic, and starting. I think slowly spreading throughout the policy of the government,
Mm-hmm.
and hopefully uh, in few years time uh, will be a lot more happening in terms of yeah, sustainable agriculture or permaculture.
Yeah. What
And
about
I'm
the
sure
impact? So I was going to ask you, what about the impact of climate change on your country, and is that uh, being a catalyst for people to think differently about perhaps using permaculture and more regenerative strategies?
yeah, I think the climate change is happening, is impact as well on Timor as an island country. uh, One impact is water scarcity.
Mm-hmm.
So many people not access to clean water. Many springs dries out. Many rivers also dries out. When rains come, only many spring function when rains come. But also when heavy rain come, causing a lot of a disaster as well because of we loss of forests
Mm.
in many parts of the Timor. People cut down the forest, burning, and that's increased the what's it called? Extend the dry season.
Mm.
Uh, like we just have a devastating flooding last March, which is Dili. Some part of Dili is a lot of impact, and people lost, destroyed the house, and so much damage.
Mm.
That's because again we keep advising the Minister of Public Work that we need to create a catchment system on top of the upstream so that to slow down the water flow during heavy rain or rainy season, and the water can recharge back to the ground to feed the spring and feed the groundwater.
Absolutely.
So
Yep.
we again and again keep repeating, so then we have to go and do it by ourselves, and then invite them to see it.
Yeah.
And now those areas that we're working on less damage because all the water is captured in the upper land, and then it's slow down the water flow into the lowland.
Fantastic. That's brilliant. I just, well, just on the continuity of the the education theme, and particularly with regards to learning about all of this and how to restore landscapes. Is any of this education entering into the universities, or is it particularly something that is being learned just by getting out with you and your teams and going out into the landscape? Has permaculture reached the university level, I guess, is the question that I'm asking, or is that not such an important thing? Is it more important just to get the teams out there?
Well, actually, it's a high demand. It's a high demand from the university for us to teach at the university.
Yeah.
Like I myself, I've been teaching at the national university since 2011, on introducing we call sustainable agriculture / permaculture. But then, because of so many activities that I had to dealing with, so now I don't go teaching. So again, but some of the university still sending their student to most of permaculture activities.
Yeah.
Last year, they sending student to the youth camp, to water camp, and they're involving in the digging the reservoir. So it's part of their lesson.
So do they get credits to their degree from coming out and doing water camp, youth camp? Is that part of? Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah, it's part of the credit. Last celebrating the World Day Water Day in Timor, Permatil organized water camp in March, and so many university students attend the water camp, 3 days water camp. And during water camp, we discuss and we do practical activities, and we planting a couple thousand trees around the reservoir. And so, and this still, we're hoping to, continue and build up. And we discuss, and also, I think just a matter of human resource, like a matter of human resource to we could deploy to different university to teach. Even Ministry of Education is asking me if I could develop a material on water conservation to include in the next curriculum reform for the high school. And because I myself, I don't, so many things on my plate. So, what can I do?
Have you, you're doing a remarkable amount. Oh my gosh. I don't know how you hold this together. I mean, do you have a good team? Are there many other people like you who've risen up through kind of permaculture practical work who you can collaborate with around the country, or what's the scene, permaculture scene like?
For practical teaching, we have over 50 volunteers. Over 50 volunteers that are ready to deploy anywhere, to do school gardening, water conservation, and they ready anytime, as long as we support their transport and give them some lump sum for food, and they ready to deploy anywhere. But in terms of writing curriculum, writing material for the university or for the government, is not many people. Like you can count not even 5 fingers in the institution. So I'm the one who have to force myself to think outside of the box to try contribute whatever I can.
I was just going to ask you, what can the international permaculture community do to support you, or how can they find out more about what you're doing, but not so much to come and, take it, but like how can they come to support what you're doing? Is there a way that you would appreciate some kind of more backing or support from the global permaculture community?
Yeah, I think I'm sure there is many people who want to support. Only one barrier is the language, because language has become a barrier. But I'm sure, like many permaculture friends around the globe, they want to support. But I always say, please had a chance, come visit Timor so you can understand about the culture or about the climate. So then you can I can contribute in the proper way.
Yeah.
But I think just to maybe emphasize in supporting other way is to keep promoting the ideas. I think that's another way that can help a lot, especially for our government and politicians. They prefer listen to someone that work for the World Bank or ADB or in international agencies like from German agency or Japanese agency, or rather than listen to a local person or Timorese, because I think it's happening all over the world. Think that it's something that comes from outside is the best, but sometimes it's good. Sometimes it's good, but sometimes, for instance, I don't trust like people like from World Bank or ADB. Another way is they influence the government in the wrong way.
Mm.
That's happening all over, like Asia Pacific or even African countries.
Yeah.
It's create a disaster.
Absolutely.
But people coming from a permaculture organization, I think we speak in the same language. If we all speak the same language, and I'm sure people will, the government, especially the politician, will listen.
Mm.
Like now, the book, the manual is now being downloading in many countries. Now, when people, Timorese see on Facebook that something comes from Timor can be spreading, they're starting to listen.
Yeah.
Why this happening, and they're starting to asking a lot of questions, how you do it, and before they never, they ignore, and they how say yeah, they don't listen to you.
Or just not think that it's as valuable. You know, say 82,000 downloads of the chapters of your book globally. It's phenomenal.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
well up there in global bestseller numbers. It's really spreading out everywhere, and as much as I can refer to it as well and share it with people in all different countries, because I work in mostly tropical and subtropical climates, so it's so valuable, and because it's so visual, it's just absolutely brilliant. What an amazing resource that you've created. So I'm wondering whether there's a way to through your organization, you've now created Permatil Global. Is that right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
so
that's right. Yeah.
I'll put some links down below for people to maybe get some information about that. But if they were to, does it help to receive donations? Is that helpful for
Yeah.
you to do your work, to spread your work out further?
Yeah, I think the ideas of starting a Permatil Global is again to spread some good ideas that Timor can share with the rest of the globe. But also we want to create a foundation that we could share among each other. Hopefully, this can help. But also we try to raise some fund to help Permakids TL to scaling up the program in Timor, so that we could create Timor as a model. Not completely can be duplicated in other countries, but some of the technique or some of the strategy or some of the ideas can be copied. And of course, we are willing to support any organization or any country that want to see this model work. And we willing to advise or give our technical assistance. But of course, we want to hear from how they want to learn from Timor.
Fantastic. Well, I can just already see the direct links with what you're doing and the Permayouth groups in the refugee camps in Uganda and Kenya,
Right.
and some of the villages there as well. So for youth from what you're calling the kids age, but also the older group as well. It's
Right.
absolutely so relevant and so important and inspiring as well. Like, this is what's possible. You've been doing this for, well, how long now? Well over a decade that you've been.
Almost 12 years now.
Yeah. And so to see where you can take it and how you can start to make changes at a community level, in schools and in governments, and really open up wide. And I know, like you're saying, there's still so much to do, but you've done an incredible amount already. It's really, really inspiring. Yeah.
And we also have some video, some documentary, like which is we try to make subtitle in English. One is the Permayouth camp.
Yeah.
From last time, 2018. Hopefully, if we have that, we could share it with you. Probably we could put on the Permakids global website. And also the other one, documentary on water conservation as well. And we very happy to hear that Permayouth is about to starting in Uganda. That's I mean, when you text me, I tell some of my colleagues, Permayouth starting in other country already.
Yeah, and there's this group that are meeting every week now using this platform of Zoom, where there's a girl in Zanzibar, there's the kids in Uganda, there's people from Sweden, Philippines, Thailand. I wonder if there's any young people in Timor that would like to join up. Every Sunday they meet. They're starting to meet.
Right.
Do you know of any people who have access to Zoom who'd be interested in joining these?
I'm sure we could facilitate that. I think we only for the Permayouth we could facilitate, and so some of our volunteers that involved in organizing the next Permayouth camp. So they would love to join this kind of meeting. Only let me try to find someone that capable to speak English.
Okay, good. The other thing would be, if there's someone who's like a young person who, or even yourself, to actually drop in and speak to the young people. So we often invite guests to come in and speak with the Permayouth and to hear and to inspire them. So, whether it be yourself or one of the other young leaders who would speak to them, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, I think we also have other Permayouth leader in Permakids, also in Timor. we have some female leader. So I think they also willing to share.
Oh, that'd be great.
We have my Armenia. She speak good English. She's one of the pioneer of Permayouth as well, and also few others that can join in. But I'm if I have time, I could, I'd love to join one day.
Right. I know you. Sorry, say that again.
Only my laptop, my computer. I don't know what's wrong. I have to update it. Probably the program, or I'm not sure. Normally, my Zoom is working on my computer, but because of the computer didn't work, so that's why I borrow my college laptop. So that's why the name appear Mena is yeah. Mena is she's one of the pioneer of Permayouth. She's a female, one of the senior staff of Permayouth.
Yeah. Oh, well, thanks, Mena, for lending it. Well, thanks so much for. I've got, I could keep talking to you, Rage, but I know you've got so much to do, and it's been an absolute pleasure talking with you, and so much inspiration and so many great ideas that, I'm really delighted to be able to help ripple out the idea of Permayouth to other places. And I remember speaking with you, like I said, a couple of years ago at the Permaculture conference, and we had a little chat on video then, and then as well feeling absolutely inspired by what you're doing. So, it's what you're doing in Timor Leste is infecting the world with this positive approach, and thank you is all I can say over and over. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm watching your video as well on gardening.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah, on Facebook. Yeah,
great. I've just started a podcast as well, so I'm sort of just trying to find ways to share permaculture in as many different ways as possible. For people to hear, for people to watch, for kids to get involved in. We're organising just a little camp here in the next month. Nowhere near anything like 1,000, but we'll start small and build it up as we go.
Yeah, it starts from small. Yeah, like a growing seed.
That's exactly right. Yeah. Oh, it's been lovely to see you and to chat with you, and thanks for taking the time and persisting, even though we kind of dropped out a few times.
Yeah, it's okay. So say hello to everyone, and
I will.
Yeah.
It's been lovely to see you. Thanks, Ego.
Yeah. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
So thanks for tuning in to the Sense Making in a Changing World podcast today. It's been a real pleasure to have your company. I invite you to subscribe and receive notification of each new weekly episode with more wonderful stories, ideas, inspiration, and common sense for living and working regeneratively. Anchor positive permaculture thinking and design into action in this changing world. I'm including a transcript below and a link also to my 4-part permaculture series, really looking at what is permaculture and how to make it your livelihood too. So join me again in the next episode where we talk with another fascinating guest. I look forward to seeing you there.